closer we are to absolute chaos? The sick ones are sitting on their fat asses, eating and drinking themselves into stupor, polluting the world without a second thought while it goes down the toilet. Nobody wants to do the nasty work. You know, the shit that we all just think about. Most good citizens are just along for the ride and then bitch and moan and complain about everything when it doesn't work out. Not me. Get it done.
Revolution Radio, where we do the nasty work. www.freedomslips.com.
You're caught in a dream. The adventure begins. Put your seat backs and tray tables in upright positions. We take a trip to the very fabric of reality. Sterling Pete, Andrew Parks for Adventures into Reality. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 noon at Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, where information never sleeps.
Necessary information to assist you in confidently living through just about any survival situation. Survival from gardening, off-grid living, medical knowledge, or even natural or man-made EMPs on your list of personal concerns. You have your documents and your personal information in a safe place in your hands where you know where it is. Well, check out preloaded EMP-proof thumb drive. Over 3 gigs of survival documents and how-tos, plus the USDA offline food preservation website, and much, much more, including a surprise bonus we just can't tell you about here. With plenty of room left over to store your most important documents. Imagine if a megavirus or computer failure took out your bank, or all the banks for that matter. Are your banking records safe in your hands? So when they get things, you can say, hey, look, this is what I had. You have it, I want it back. Is your personal data safe? Family records, addresses, phone numbers? We'll squeeze on over to freedomslips.com. Yes, that's www.freedomslips.com. Click the banner on the homepage for the EMP-proof bullet drive to get the full scoop of everything that we offer. So, folks, keep your data safe for your peace of mind. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here. Revolution Radio. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
All right, we're back. You are listening to Clay Douglas, the Free American. My guest is Dr. Rebecca Carley. And Dr. Carley, I'd like to kind of take a different tact here. I would like some, I've tried to find answers here. I want to find solutions, and that's why I proposed the whole Liberty Village, small communities working together. Richard Mack, Sheriff Richard Mack, is putting together sheriffs, constitutional sheriffs, that and we've got other people right over in Laredo that are working with the sheriff to establish the militias working for the sheriffs. And I've got a film up on cannabis, how it's really turning the economy around in California if the feds stay out of it. So there are answers out there, and we're finding more and more people that are being able to set up solar and set up wind generators. We don't have to sell the top of the mountain there to a foreign company so they can build wind farms. What we need is a wind generator on every house, solar on every roof, and sell it back to the power companies. Let them pay us, let our house promote us. Now that's the answers I've got. And the whole Liberty Village concept of the self-sufficient family farm, you could turn one square block in any neighborhood in any part of the United States into a self-sufficient village. Put your wind and solar on top of the roof, kick the neighborhood association out, put the dig up the crabgrass in your backyard and put it in a garden, and grow your own food, sell it to your neighbors that were too lazy to do what we could do. That's the answers I've got. And of course, let's toss in there, avoid the vaccines. I mean, no matter what the television tells you, what they tell about these pills, they're making 2,000% markup on your Luvox or your Valium or more. And these vaccines, they're using that to cull the population. I agree with all that. What do we do? What else can we do? And what do you see that we can do to stop this New World Order assassination program? I mean, they wrote it in stone. My God, the Georgia Guidestone, they tell you they want to, trim the population to a manageable 500 million. That means they want to kill a few billion people. So, what do you see? What do you see that we can do besides what you and I are doing? We're both doing radio shows and we're trying to educate people.
Well, the first thing that has to be done, in my opinion, is people have to face reality. One of my favorite cartoonists is Gary Larson, and I have one of his cartoons in my office where a woman is putting her son to bed, and she's telling him there's no such thing as monsters, but you can see the monster under the bed. There is a monster under the bed, and we have to face reality. As a matter of fact, during the break, I went into my office and I found the law, H.R. 41303, in the 112th Congress, United States-Israel Enhanced Security Cooperation Act of 2012. Check it out for yourself, H.R. 4133. Our entire government, all three branches, are committing treason. But unfortunately, as a regular citizen, there's not much we can do about that. We just have to face reality. But in my opinion, the most important thing people have to do, number one, is to regain their health. And that's what I teach people how to do. If your brain doesn't work, you're not going to be able to face what's actually happening. And as I said, there's no thing more important than your health. And you have to learn that going to the white coats, as I call them, is definitely a way to get rid of your health. So you have to learn how to take care of yourself. I teach people how to detox, but at the very least, you have to quit taking pharmaceutical drugs. I always tell people, go on any search engine, type in the name of your drug, hyphen side effects, and see what they admit to. All of these drugs have mental and psychiatric effects, not to mention other side effects. And so you have to wean yourself from the medical mafia to begin with. Eat good food, drink clean water. Of course, breathing clean air is very difficult with all the chemtrails and everything. But you have to face reality. That's number one. And yes, there's many things that we can do. Of course, they're trying to make all these things illegal. They're trying to make it where you can't have your own garden. And of course, if you find a solution, as have I, to all diseases, then you will be labeled an economic terrorist. You see, they don't want these solutions to come out. I mean, Nikola Tesla, a century ago, found a way to take energy from the ionosphere, which could have made us energy self-sufficient, But of course, the bankster J.P. Morgan destroyed him, and now they've weaponized his technology and created HARP, which is used for weather changes and tsunamis and earthquakes and mind control and all kinds of other things. So the first thing you have to do is face reality. Then you have to get your health back, and you have to tell others. There's no group, in my opinion, that's going to be able to accomplish anything because what these psychopaths do is they infiltrate every group. They bring in their provocateurs and their infiltrators, and they cause problems. So, in my opinion, it has to be a grassroots effort where people tell people and wake up as many as they can. Unfortunately, many people don't want to be woken up. They'd rather, ignorance is bliss, or so they think until they're dead. But that's the first thing people have to do, in my opinion, is get their health back and not get on their knees and lick the boots of their masters. I mean, if we're already dead, then at least die for a reason. Stand up and say you're not going to take it anymore. That's what we have to do because there's more of us than there are of them. And of course, the idea that they would decide who would live or die is really quite ridiculous. If these psychopaths were taken out and hung for treason, the rest of the world that has a conscience could use what they know to bring, this country and this world back to what it should be. In fact, it's very obvious to me that that's the main thing that they fear is exposure. And so we have to keep exposing them and calling them out for what they've done.
This is one of the most frustrating things to me, Dr. Carley, that we have enough evidence over the last 20 years. I've accumulated enough evidence and I've done enough research to know that if we had a trial, if we had a citizens grand jury, we could prove this exactly what you've been saying. We could prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt if a jury was able to look at all of this aside and they were able to break their programming and break their medication, we would be able to put these people, try them for treason, try them for genocide. As a matter of fact, I believe they did that in Europe, in Brussels. They had a common law grand jury and found the Catholic Church and the Queen of England as to be guilty of genocide, especially in the case of the Indians in Canada. A lot of the Indians in
Can't
Canada.
hear you, Clay.
Clay, your mic. Something wrong with your mic.
All right, let me fix that.
We
Here.
can't hear you, Clay.
All right, can you hear me now?
That's better. Yes, fine.
All right. I don't know what happened to this microphone. It just went dead on me there. But what I'm saying is, if we had a grand jury, a citizens grand jury, we've got enough documentation on this.
Chicken sandwich.
Beg pardon? What's that?
Go ahead, Clay.
Okay, we've got enough
I didn't
documentation.
have my mic muted.
Okay, we've got enough documentation on this to know to convict these people. If we had a grand jury, we could present all of our evidence and just what we've talked about on this show today. And they did this in Brussels. I believe they had a citizens grand jury and found the Queen of England and the Catholic Church to be guilty of genocide. They were even talking about going in and taking the Catholic Church's property, which extends all the way around the world, being the original New World Order. We've got the evidence, but none of our police agencies, the FBI, none of the Congress, they all work for this. They protect each other, and they won't try themselves. They won't convict themselves. So that's my frustration. We know what they've done. We know what they're doing, but we have no recourse here. Even if the grand jury finds them guilty, nobody's been arrested. The Pope ain't been arrested. The Queen ain't been arrested. The President and the Congress that are guilty of treason keep doing it, won't be arrested. And I frankly, other than an armed revolution, I don't see any results in that. And anytime there's a revolution, all of your revolutionary forces right now in Syria and all that are Mossad sponsored, CIA sponsored. The drug running is CIA, Mossad sponsored. And so there's nobody. You got the BATF, the ones that were guilty of Waco, transferring guns to the CIA and calling them a drug cartel, and giving them all the drugs, all the guns to kill millions of people over the drugs. And so if they bring the drugs into this country, they sell it to you so they can put you in jail for the drugs. Now this is a tried and tested, and they've been doing it for hundreds of years. They've been doing. That's what the Boxer Rebellion was about. They were drugging the Chinese so they could take over. What is our recourse?
Well, I don't claim to have all the answers because obviously this has been going on for a very long time.
Thousands of years.
And
Yes.
we have to be careful. We have to be careful because they're just waiting for a bunch of citizens to stand up and, start a revolution, and that will be their excuse to bring us into total martial law and an ultimate police state. What I try to do and what I've been doing for 16 years is just try to wake up the people as to what's going on so that they can take whatever action in their individual case that they can do to maintain their health especially, but to maintain whatever semblance of normalcy that they can. And of course, exposing the criminals. This is very important. That's why the Jews have deemed anything that we say about what they're doing as hate speech. Because to actually expose the perpetrators of all of this evil is now hate speech, which is a joke. And that's why I continue to expose them with their own documents. As a matter of fact, during the break, I also got a handout. I have tidbits from the Talmud. And I encourage all of you to go to that website, tidbitsfromthetalmud.com. One of the most important statements in this document, Libra David 37, it says, to communicate anything with a goy about our relations would be equal to the killing of all Jews, for if the goyim knew what we teach about them, they would kill us openly. And of course, they promote pedophilia. Sexual intercourse with a little girl is permitted if she is of 3 years of age, etc., etc. So, first of all, we have to identify who the psychopaths are and expose them in every opportunity that we can, because that's what they're most afraid of is exposure, but also to try to teach others. Now, this is the hard part. My own family doesn't listen to me in regards to health issues. And they've killed my younger brother, they've killed both of my parents, and now they're killing my younger sister, who they told she had breast cancer. They chopped off her breast, and now they're giving her chemo and radiation. I'm sure she'll be dead within the next couple of months. So that's the hard part, is when you have people, especially in your family, that will not face reality. And I don't waste my time with those people. Basically, they are going to die, and that's too bad. But unfortunately, silence is consent, and they are a very big part of the problem. The ones who will not wake up and face reality are allowing it to happen. So eventually there's going to come a point where all of those people are dead, and most of them will be killed by the medical mafia, and then all we'll have left are the ones who know what's going on and the ones who are doing it. That's when it's going to get interesting. But yes, we can expect that there's going to be some very difficult times ahead. I agree with you in regards to this concept of liberty communities. Unfortunately, those communities will be targeted as well. Any group of people that get together who know what's going on, they're going to be targeted, and they have so many ways to do this. A Waco situation would be probably one of their favorites. So, like I said, I don't purport to have all the solutions, but certainly doing nothing is only making things worse.
That's true, and that's we can't. That's the Waco was a psychological operation on the American people. One to test to see what we would take, what we would put up with, how far the federal government could go, and they did it by line. They told them they had a meth lab there. That's why they got the helicopters. I saw the films from inside a church, inside a home, filled with children, and there were 50 caliber bullet holes in the roof and the ceiling. So, but and that's what people said about the Liberty Village concept. Well, they'll target you. They'll come after you. Well, that might be true, but they're going to kill us anyway. They're going to kill us anyway, and if you can at least go down with a dozen of your friends, people that have the same desire for freedom, I think that would be preferable. Now, my response to that is they don't target the Motel 6s. So my concept for Liberty Villages is take an old farm or an old ranch, pick it up before the Chinese corporations take it over or buy it, and make that self-sufficient and open the doors to the public. The FBI want to come in, you can rent a teepee over there, you can rent a cabin over there, you can rent that sod house that we built. So you can see all of the or that dome home that we put a bag under and blew it up and sprayed it and made it with liquid concrete and made a dome home that would withstand hurricanes or tornadoes. There are answers here. There are self-sufficient family farms, and in California, people are growing cannabis in their backyards, in their underground shelters, in their basements, in their and they are being productive. They're making money off that. They are becoming self-sufficient. I mean, there's so many ways to become self-sufficient if we work together. But anytime you get a group, it's kind of like I told people in the militia. I said, Clay, do you know of a militia we could join? If you join a militia and there's more than 10 people in it and you haven't known all of these people your whole life, one of them's a Fed trying to set you up, one of them's a Jew trying to separate you, trying to cause dissension, trying to break you up. So that's they have thousands of these trolls that they pay to come on the internet to do exactly what they're doing. I just blocked them all, so I didn't even have to look at their questions or their statements. But I ignored them, so I could concentrate on you. I think we've got the answer. You've got the answer. Don't go to Walmart or Walgreens, and don't fall for their flu vaccines. I mean, come on, folks. I haven't taken a vaccine in 30 years, and I don't ever get sick. I don't get the flu. My immune system can fight off anything. I might even be able to survive a McDonald's.
Well, there's also a wonderful remedy that people can use called colloidal silver, which of course the FDA has already banned as a pesticide. They're trying to take it off the market. It kills all bacteria, viruses that have ever been tested with it, including one-cell parasites with no side effects.
Now,
So
what was
there
that?
are solutions, but that's why people have to.
What was that?
What?
You referred to colloidal
Colloidal
silver?
silver.
Yes, ma'am. They put that. They
Yeah.
put their
And
silver
in fact,
coins. They put their silver coins in the water barrels when they were going west, when they were going out to California, when they were going through the desert. They put their silver
Yes.
coins in the water barrels to keep the water fresh.
Yes, I've researched this. I've taken it myself for 15 years. My 3 dogs and my 2 cats all take it. We never have any problems in regards to being exposed to the vaccinees that are coughing and sneezing on us. The mycoplasma and other organisms they're putting in chemtrails. And when I researched this, I found that it was actually in the physician's desk reference back in the 1980s. They took it out because, of course, antibacterials, antifungals, antivirals are a very big way that Big Pharma makes lots of cash, and so they had to erase that from history. But more and more people are finding out about that now. So the FDA solution was to deem it a pesticide. They're trying to take it off the market, and that's why, in my opinion, everybody should have their own colloidal silver generator, where you can make colloidal silver for pennies a day. You can use it for so many things. It's really amazing. But that's why, like I said, education is the key. People don't want to do any work. They just want to, watch Dancing with the Stars and all the different sports games and things of that nature. You have to do your own research. I always tell people, don't believe me, check it out for yourself. Because spending that time researching the natural solutions to all these problems will save your life. That's the main message that I can say. Now, in terms of the big picture, in terms of how they're going after anybody that speaks out, that's another issue. I've had 3 attempts in my life. Personally, I don't care. They've taken my only child. They've done all kinds of things to me. I would rather die than live in the world that they're creating. You have to get rid of the fear and be willing to stand up for what's right, especially in regards to your children. I can't even imagine the hell that our children are going to live in if we do nothing. It's bad enough now. Imagine where it's going to be 20 years from now if nothing changes.
And as you pointed out earlier, the solutions have been here for 100 years. I mean, Tesla, the Stirling engine. I mean, the answer to our power and the answer to all the problems we're facing right now. We're here 100 years ago. We actually, it's probably because there was no genetically modified food or fluoride added to our water, so we were able to create geniuses like Stirling and like Tesla and like even Edison. Although he got kind of corrupted and got in with the Morgans, J.B. Morgans, because you could put he could be controlled. Tesla couldn't. Now, just I went to a Tesla convention and I thought I'd see a magnetic engine there, a magnetic generator, and when I asked the people, why don't you know how to do this? Why isn't there anything here? They said it was a violation of national security, and they would come after them if they were able to do this. If they were put a magnetic generator in their garage and suddenly their meter was running backwards, they would come in and attack them. And I've actually had a father-in-law that worked on the Aswan Dam. He was a really intelligent man. He duplicated the Pogue carburetor. And said two guys in blue suits, black suits, showed up and said, Mr. Babcock, we need you to take that carburetor off your truck and destroy the one you're making for your neighbor over here. And if I don't, we'll kill you. And he believed them. So he took it off of his truck. He was getting 50 miles to the gallon. Again, a violation of national security because they want to keep the oil companies running. And, I guess the only answer is do it and don't tell anybody about it. Don't try to feed it back to the power companies. Just develop it for yourself. And I mean, we can build, if they can build a computer in Taiwan in a shed behind their house in Taiwan, I'm sure that we've got people intelligent enough to build solar panels, magnetic generators, and what does it take to build a windmill? I mean, they did it in farms and ranches across this country 200 years ago. The answers are really here. Are we just too lazy to take advantage of that? Are we just too paranoid to be able to work together in some way? Have we been isolated? Has the TV and the internet maybe it's certainly a tool to get the information out. We're doing this radio show, getting out to 10,000 people, maybe more, and yet it separates us. We don't really know our neighbors. We're not able to communicate. Is that a result of the programming we've got, the education we get from the public school system, or the chemicals they're feeding us? Or all of the above?
Well, it's all of these things, but one thing I just have to say, you also have to be careful of your neighbors, because there's a program called InfraGard, where people can be paid to spy on their neighbors. There's all kinds of really horrific things going on, and I don't let any of my neighbors know what I'm up to, because I know for sure that one of them is one of these InfraGard people. So you have to use discernment. Discernment is key. You have to know who you can trust, and that's very difficult today because the psychopaths have their webs everywhere. But, yes, there's solutions to everything, and I mentioned this concept of economic terrorism. Anybody that does something that's going to take money out of the pockets of the psychopaths to control the world are going to be deemed an economic terrorist. So, at the very least, you can do things for your own family and your, extended family, but you must use discernment. That's very important.
Well, they certainly wanted to cut down on their families. They did it in communist China, made it illegal to have more than one child, and they murdered over 50 million Americans in the womb. The Bible said God knew us, while we were in the womb, put our spirit there in the womb, and we've murdered over 50 million of them. Under what? What's the term Planned Parenthood uses? The right to kill. What is this? This abortion, this whole abortion issue. They've taken it away from common sense and tried to make it a woman's right. I think the way to do that. Now, you may not agree with me on this. I think the way to do that is simply if you want an abortion, we ought to make it retroactive.
Well, one way to get the quote-unquote pro-choice people to wake up is to teach them what are they doing with the aborted fetuses. They're chopping them up and growing vaccine viruses on them. More and more vaccines now are being made out of aborted fetal cells, and of course that's a spiritual assault. You're being injected with dead babies. That's cannibalism. There's a company called Genomics, which is using aborted fetuses to make food flavoring. And Pepsi, Kraft, there's a few companies that actually use aborted fetuses as food flavoring in their products. Once again, this is cannibalism. They're using all kinds of, or using aborted fetuses for all kinds of products. So not only does that serve their depopulation agenda, but it also, we are definitely in a spiritual war. And having the ignorant masses consume products or having them injected into them that have dead babies in them, this is a spiritual assault as well. So they have to realize what is being done with your dead baby. Who's buying that dead baby and using it to make products? And in my opinion, anybody who thinks that abortion is a choice would think twice if they knew what was being done with their dead baby.
Maybe they don't care. Maybe a friend of mine, John Trockman, he did the militia in Montana, and I contacted him after I got out of the hospital, and he'd quit. He wasn't doing the militia anymore. He was selling advertising for some local paper, and I said, "How can you quit? How can you quit?" He said, "Clay, we tried to tell him what NAFTA was going to be. We tried to tell him about GATT. We tried to tell him about FEMA. They wouldn't support us then. They won't support us now, so to hell with them. They're going to get the government they deserve." And when you read about in the Bible of Sodom and Gomorrah, these the evils, the Edomites being killed by God, maybe they are getting what they deserve. Maybe these people that don't want to listen to you, the family members that the infraguard people, the people that want to turn you in, this was happening in Soviet Union when after they killed the Tsar and took over. They had grandma sitting there. They didn't have the computers on hand, so they had the grandma sitting there taking notes about who was doing what and who to put into the gulags, who to put into concentration camps. So maybe what we're seeing, these people are going to die. Maybe they deserve to die. Maybe those people that are murdering their unborn children, maybe they will get what they deserve. Maybe they, I kind of prefer to believe God's alive and well. I think he uses the internet. He's alive and well on the internet because that's as it is above, so it is below. So that's the internet is a reflection of our universal mind. We have the access to the Akashic records. We can access the Akashic records on the internet now. We used to have to just meditate to do that. But I am healthy. You are healthy. The people that listen to you are healthy. The people that listen to me are starting to think about how we can work together, how we can build a community. I mean, we don't need to change the world. If we change our neighborhood, we have made progress, haven't we?
Yes, this has to be done on a grassroots level, there's no question. And as more and more people get their health back, see, most people don't even know what it's like to feel healthy. People have been sick for so long. But once you can increase the vibrations of your life force, and the only way that you can do that is to detoxify yourself and start eating right and drinking clean water and all the rest of it. And once you get that sensation back of being healthy, then you realize what you've lost. And hopefully that will give people added motivation to take action in whatever way they deem. Most people are too afraid to do what we're doing and, go global on the internet and things of that nature, that's fine. Do something for your own self and your own family. Build on that. That's the only chance we have, in my opinion. We can't wait for somebody to come in and save us, because if they were going to come in and save us, they would have already done so, because we live in hell now. So we have to take action on an individual level, and once enough people do that, it's going to be the tipping point, in my opinion.
I agree with that. Matter of fact, in my esoteric period 45 years ago that I'll be doing again, here I did a poem called The Guest, that comes into a party and insane, like a leaf in a hurricane. Out of this plane we were torn. My guest I could see, steady and free. I cried, how can this be? He said, you can control the winds of destiny. You can be a leaf no more. And then he turned and started to go, and somebody said, God, stay, I pray, show us the way, so in hell our souls won't burn. He said, your God doesn't care, my burden he doesn't share, yet still of me you say, beware. Of hell you shouldn't care, you can't go, 'cause you were there, you stay till you pay, as I said before, you stay as men, not more. And, the hell is around us, but you can control it. You can change it. By listening to this show, you are gaining a sense of power. You should be gaining a sense of power from this. Dr. Carley is giving you accurate information. I'm giving you accurate information. We're not doing this to scare you. You're you're in hell, but if you keep on running, maybe you can get out before the devil even knows you're there. I think that was a nice country and western song. But
I would like to also say that in my experience, one of the most empowering things you can do is to lose the fear. I have no fear. And that is so empowering. When you have no fear and you speak the truth no matter what it takes, it's amazing what happens. I've had many miracles happen to me in my life. And I am convinced that they are more afraid of me at this point, because I have no fear of them. And whatever it takes, I will do whatever it takes. And if they kill me, I go on vacation. That's how I look at it. And once you develop that attitude and you can free yourself from the fear, because fear is one of their major weapons. If they can get you to believe that there's nothing you can do, then they've already won. I mean, when you think about that, that is their biggest weapon, is fear. And yes, they've got FEMA camps and they've got all these things. So what? Okay? If enough of us stand up and say, we are not going to take this anymore, if different communities would shine a light on their own police officers who have sold out, and different minions that are selling out their own people, doing raids on raw milk farms and things of this nature. Refuse to serve them in your restaurants. Refuse to give them any kind of benefits in your community. Call them traitors to their face. What will that do? I think that would be very powerful.
I think that you're absolutely correct. When I got out of the hospital, people said to me, well, aren't you afraid to ride a motorcycle now? Aren't you afraid? Aren't you afraid? And my response was, I've been riding a motorcycle for 55 years. You ever trip? You afraid to walk? No, I'm not afraid to ride. I've walked into bars in a little town in New Mexico, and somebody came up and said, you're Clay Douglas, aren't you? And I said, yeah. They said, well, I knew when you walked in. But you put your picture in your magazine. Yeah, I do that. Yeah, I do a television show. Yeah, I do that. Well, why? I said, because it's my magazine. Why wouldn't I? But there's people out there that don't like what you've got to say. I said, oh, I see. You mean somebody might want to beat me up? Somebody might hurt me? Might want to hurt me? Somebody might want to shoot me? Well, yes. Well, yes. Well, bud, here I am. Here I am, sitting right here, standing right here in front of you. Take your best shot. Oh no, not me, not me. No, It's not me. I'm not upset. No, no, not me, not me. Well, now you know why I put my picture on my magazine. Why I do a television show. Why I do a radio show every day. Because what are you gonna threaten me with? Eternity? I mean, I frankly, Dr. Carley, I wondered a couple of things that I don't really know. Do I have just a vivid imagination, or when I write about something that happened 10,000 years ago, do I remember it? I frankly don't know that yet. But I know that we don't have to be afraid. I agree with you on that 100%. To me, this is an adventure. We just have to kind of learn to enjoy the battle now, because we are in a war. It's a war of principalities. The Bible tells us that. And we got 2,000 years, 3,000 years of history contained in that. A lot of good work. A lot of people shows how intelligent people were before fluoride thousands of years ago. And we've actually been building these civilizations for a hell of a lot longer than the Bible takes. With the cities they found in Africa are 150,000 years old. We've been around that long, folks. Don't be afraid. It's somebody told me once, Clay, they don't have the power they want you to believe they have. If they did, we'd still be under the Syrian Empire, the Ottoman Empire, the Roman Empire, or the British Empire. As soon as people wake up and understand that Jesus actually told you the truth, and this is why the Catholics didn't want you to read the Bible. He said, you can do what I do and more. It should be an empowering thing, not be afraid, be very, very afraid. Clay, don't you fear God? Aren't you fear? No, why would I fear my Father? Why would I fear my Creator? He didn't make me to be afraid. And I think you really hit the nail on the head. They want you to be afraid. That's what the Alex Jones do out there. Be afraid, be afraid. Oh, they're coming to get you. The Russians are coming. The Nazis are coming. And Voltaire even had it right too. You can tell who your masters are about who you're not allowed to criticize. Who would that be? Who would that be? All right.
Well, and the other thing, like you said, the family's being destroyed. It amazes me, how many mothers are, wanting to have a job so that they can, compete with the Joneses and, have the same SUV and all the toys and whatever, and agreeing to put the children in child care. We have no idea what's happening to those children. First of all, they have to get inoculated to get in the door. Pedophiles are drawn to these places so that they can abuse children. That's one thing that amazes me. Why are you even having children if you're not willing to stay home and take care of them? And that's a very important thing in my opinion. As a matter of fact, when I had my son, I stayed home and took care of him. I stopped working in the hospital. Actually, had stopped working in the hospital some years before that because I saw euthanasia, experimentation on people, and research fraud. But why are you even having children if you're not willing to take care of them yourself? And that's a very important thing, in my opinion, that mothers should be asking themselves. If you can't afford to have children to stay home and take care of them, why are you having children? Because if you think that going on the dole is going to be a great thing for your children, well, they're forcing you to vaccinate them to being on the dole. They're giving you food stamps where you can buy, cheese with prions and all kinds of other things. Basically, you're sacrificing your children. everybody that's thinking about bringing another life into the world, if you're not going to protect that child, then don't do it, because, you know, you're just contributing to the problem.
Well, that again goes back to the family. I mean, I I could read before I went into the first grade because my grandfather, I grew up with my grandfather there, and he read to me. I sat on his lap and he read comic books to me. Ran his finger along the words. So when I went into the first grade, I could read at a sixth grade level. I helped the teachers teach. But that's what they've taken for us. Now they want to put your grandparents, say your grandparents get old, they want to put them in a nursing home and drug them. And drug them. And drug them. I mean, my mother went into the hospital for a triple bypass. And they put her in this nursing home or something when she got out. And I went to see her. I was living in California at the time, or New Mexico, and I went to see her, and she couldn't talk to me. She couldn't talk to me, and I went to the doctor, and I said, "What's the matter? What's wrong with her? This isn't from the triple bypass. What is wrong here?" Well, we're giving her drugs to keep her calm, to keep. I said, "No, you ain't doing that no more. I'm taking her out right now. Right now. You're not giving her no more drugs." And I took her home with me, and she lived for quite a few more years, and was able to converse with me and talk to me and enjoy our company. But it still wasn't as good as growing up with my grandparents in the home with me. My grandmother really raised me because my mother had to work. Father wasn't anywhere around. And that's what they've taken from us. So that's why they want. That's why they have these old folks' homes. This is why they have these halfway houses, and this is why they drug them. I mean, my grandmother was probably truly a drug addict because, and I never really knew that. I thought she was just old and feeble until I took one of her Secanols. Wow, Granny, no wonder you've been stumbling around. But that's the today's medical profession, and that's why you are a teacher now. Isn't that true, Dr. Carley?
Yes, that's actually what doctors are supposed to do, is teach people. But they've been totally corrupted, where they spend 5 to 10 minutes with you, concentrate on the so-called genetic causes of disease, which is a total fraud, and don't tell you what not to do. How can they even discuss detoxifying, because everything they do is toxic? So the corruption of the medical system was a very important, goal of theirs, which they accomplished. And there's a very good book, The Medical Mafia, by Dr. Eileen Lang Toth, where she gives the whole history of how the Rockefellers took over control of medical schools back in the early 1900s. And now, they're basically doing nothing but, prescribing drugs that are going to kill you. And I predict what's going to happen, because they're going to reap what they've sown as well. Eventually, they're not going to need doctors at all. You'll go into a room with a computer. You'll stick in your complaints, your symptoms. They'll spit out a diagnosis and give you a drug. And so the doctors are going to be totally bypassed, and that's what they deserve. My goal is to cause the death of medicine, because my profession is probably the biggest killers on the planet today. It's been estimated that 800,000 people die every year just from properly prescribed medications. That doesn't even include all the vaccine-induced deaths. And so, that's where they're going. So, it's up to the individual. You have to learn for your own self what to do. And it's very simple. Common sense. You are what you eat. If something has chemicals in it that you can't even pronounce, why would you buy that? Why would you ingest it? Why would you put it on your face as cosmetics? All of these things are toxic poison, and that's what people have to realize.
All right, Dr. Carley, we're out of time. Thank you. Give out your website again.
Okay, drcarley, carley.com, and reversing vaccine induced, induced diseases.com. If you click on the services tab on that website, you can learn how I do consult.
All right.
But please spread the word, people, especially about inoculations. Thank you, Clay.
Thank you. Anytime you need a guest, you holler at me. I appreciate your work. Thank you very much. And folks, Monday I move to a later time. Monday I will be broadcasting 2 hours later. And keep in mind that Revolution Radio is listener supported. We don't take advertising. We're not just, your shows are not being on, being paid for by some Jewish controlled companies. We are listener supported. Listener supported. And we want you to be with us. And I'm listener supported too. If you want to send a donation to Clay at freeamerican.com via PayPal, I will send you a copy of one of my books. And the books I'm writing now, I'll be talking to Nighthawk about those, because he's got the ancient history that I'm writing about down pretty pat. The deceptions have been going on for a lot of years, folks, for a lot of years, thousands of years. They want to keep control over you, and, you know, the gods and the demons that you read about, and you got the mythology about, they may be more real than you think. And you'll find that out in my next novel on Lucifer, and the Solomon series that I'm working on. But till I get those done, we got One Bloody Alabaster Eye, Deadly Flashes of Silver in my fiction books, and we've got Mystery Babylon, The New World Order Unveiled, 500 pages. You can be reading that tonight on a PDF with the history of the Rothschild, the Homeland Security Assessment Report, and the documentation on the drug running. On my videos, I've got chemtrails, and I've got the true face of FEMA. Remember, I filmed the first Homeland Security meeting, and that Homeland Security meeting, they tell you what they're doing right now. I had that 10 years ago. It's more apt right now. Check it out, folks.
Clay, we got the next hour, we got coming up for station maintenance for